It's 2020, there's only one word, and that word is quarantine. We've been stuck at home for 3 months now. One thing we have noticed though is a huge amount of wildlife in our garden. So we thought, what better than creating a Raspberry Pi wildlife trap to see what species and animals are coming into our garden. Let me show you how it's made. You are going to need a Raspberry Pi Zero, a camera module, a case to put it all in, an SD card, a battery pack and cable, a marker pen, a water bottle, something to glue it together, some Tupperware and something to cut it up. Now here we have the Raspberry Pi Zero module. It's very similar to a normal Raspberry Pi. It has the camera connector, power, USB, micro SD card and a HDMI port like you do on the other Raspberry Pis. Now we use a slightly different version of the software. We use what's called My Nature Watch, which we get from mynaturewatch.net/make. On this website we can select the agreement statement, and here we have a fantastic list of instructions of how to set up this particular wildlife trap. Feel free to use the instructions on here or continue to watch this video tutorial. Now go to the download software section. We will download their custom software image which we will use to install on the SD card. Once that's downloading, go to the raspberrypi.org website, go to downloads and download a copy of their new Raspberry Pi Imager for Windows. If you're using Mac or Ubuntu, use those options. Once those are both downloaded, install the Raspberry Pi Imager for Windows. Take your micro SD card and adapter and plug this into your PC or Mac. Go to Choose OS, scroll to the bottom and we're going to select that custom image that we downloaded from the My Nature Watch website. Choose the SD card that matches the one that we've just inserted and click Write. This can take quite a bit of time, so this part of the video has been sped up. Now completed, click Continue, close the software and remove your SD card. Now we need to assemble our camera wildlife trap. Let's start with the Raspberry Pi. Take your Raspberry Pi Zero case, insert the SD card. There is no external access on this, so you have to plug this in first. Then, making sure that you have the metal connectors facing the right way, connect your camera up to your Raspberry Pi Zero. Gently pull out the tabs, making sure that the shiny silver tabs are pushed in almost all the way. You will notice here that the camera is facing towards the back of the Raspberry Pi Zero. This will make sense as we will fold this over shortly and place this into the case. Simply align the Raspberry Pi Zero inside the case and everything should just snick into place easily. As you can see here, we can gently push the Raspberry Pi camera module into the lid of this case, creates a very small form factor Raspberry Pi with a camera perfectly centered. So we now take our Tupperware lid and we're going to connect up our battery pack and our Raspberry Pi Zero together, and we're going to see how they fit inside the box. A larger Tupperware box might be a bit more useful, but this is all I had available. Use the marker pen to make a note of where the camera sits. Take a drill. For this you will need a grown-up or adult supervising if you are a child, and drill a hole of where we made that mark. Then take the water bottle we previously showed and cut, either using a hacksaw or a pair of scissors, cut the top of the water bottle off. Drill a hole the same size as before in the lid dead center. We will then use a glue gun or blue tack to glue this on. I used a glue gun. Once completed, put the lid of your Tupperware container back on and screw in the water bottle. Using a couple of pieces of blue tack, align your camera module in the Tupperware. We now have our camera trap ready to go. Now all we need to do is make our garden inviting for wildlife. Cut a small hole in a garden fence or gate to make a hedgehog highway. As we get lots of birds in our garden, we just left some bird seeds around to try and entice them onto our garden. Now, using a mobile phone or laptop, you will need to go to your wireless settings. Go to Settings and Wi-Fi and search the local area for new wireless hotspots. If your Pi has been set up correctly, you will see My Nature Watch showing as an SSID. Select that and type in the password badgers and foxes. You are now connected to a wireless access point on your Raspberry Pi Zero. Open up your browser and type camera.local, and if you get this interface, then everything is working correctly. Time to position our camera. As you can see here, I've mounted my camera trap onto a plank of wood and attached it to this tree. I've placed a couple of apples on the tree branch to hopefully entice some birds. Once you're happy with the placements, have a play around with the settings. Simply press Start Image Capture to start recording. The software will automatically detect movement. In the background here, I have lots of moving leaves. This has caused my camera to continuously trigger and take lots of pictures. You can easily change that sensitivity in the movement sensitivity settings. If you find your camera is upside down, you can just use the image orientation settings to flip them over. As you can see here, I have lots of pictures, but none of them are particularly interesting. A picture of a blurry apple, not very good, eh? No wildlife there. So we repositioned the camera into a few different places around the garden, places we knew where we had birds. After a couple of days of moving the camera around, we were finally able to grab some pictures of wildlife in our garden. Unfortunately, my camera module had a little bit of dirt on it and ended up out of focus. We cleaned that up in the end and got some better shots. My favourite shot was these two red robins that regularly visit our garden. We've nicknamed them Red and Blue. So there you have it, your Raspberry Pi wireless trap. It's taken us a couple of days to get those shots of the birds coming into our garden. If you have liked this video, thank you for watching and please like and subscribe. Bye.